the table skeleton, not the rows or not populating the data in this particular table. So now you please understand very carefully that this table creation statement, this create table statement, do not have any constraints on any of the columns that you have created, which means that all kinds of errors can potentially occur with respect to such creation of the tables. One error is that you are trying to assign same roll number to different students. You are assigning same login ID to different students. Such kind of things, if you wanted to ensure that constraints must be honored, you must include such constraints in the table creation at the time of table creation. We'll try to see how and then how we wanted to include such kind of constraints at the time of table creation. But in this example, in this particular table creation, there are no constraints, so all kinds of violations can potentially be invited for this table. If you wanted to create another table, for example, another example of a table creation is that create table, register is the name of this table. It contains 3 columns and each column has associated data type. Integer, character, grade is of data type character. Two characters are allowed, and CID is the course name, course identifier. That has 6 characters. Note that this is only the example thing that I have included. This statement will not result in creating these records or these rows. This is only for illustration purposes. Once again, there are no constraints on these columns, which means that all possible constraint violations. When I say constraint violations, if the domain, this university database says that, well, grade cannot assume any value other than A, B, and so on and so forth, F, P, F, and so on and so forth. So there is some domain that is associated with the grade. So far, those domains are not specified, which means that you can potentially include a grade to roll number 001, a grade whose value is, let's say, ZZ. You know that it is an erroneous record, and we should strive to place constraints to enforce such kind of rules that are existing in the university system. And we have seen that there are 5 constraints that are there for a single table, 4 constraints for a single table, and then 1 constraint for tables involving multiple tables. These are primary keys, default key, uniqueness, not null. These are the 4 constraints. We'll try to see how to place each of these constraints onto the tables at the time of table creation. So we'll say that create table, name is student ID, student, and we wanted to create how many columns over here? Once again 5 columns. And we say that SID is data type integer, and now very carefully look at, we are saying that SID is a primary key. Primary key is a keyword, reserved word for SQL. Right? So you say that SID is a primary key, and rest of the column definitions are unaltered, which means that it will create a table with SID column to be the primary key. And if you, once again, this statement will not result in inserting of these records. It's only for illustration purposes. SID will reject the insertion of such a record or row, primarily because SID happens to be the primary key, and the primary key cannot take 2 identical values for this 2 distinct records. Even though these two students are different, their roll numbers are identical, so this insertion of this record will be rejected, but this record, the third record, will be successful. So we will try to look at how to create a table with two constraints, which means that as we have seen, SID to be a primary key and login to be a uniqueness constraint to be placed on the login column. Once again, we will say create table student, SID is an integer data type and it must be primary key, and name, once again there is no change. The only change that actually occurs is the login. It still holds 10 characters, but login should be unique. That's what you are saying. And through this you are enforcing that SID is a unique primary key and login is unique in the data that is populated. And this results in the third record to be rejected. Why? Because even though SID is honoring the primary key constraint, login is not violating the uniqueness constraint because Atul is already existing and it is we are trying to insert one more record, Atul, having this identical login name. So this record will be rejected. So it will not be included at all. And this record will not include because SID has identical roll numbers. So these two records in the red color will be not allowed, but this record will be allowed. This record, first record will be allowed and fourth record insertion will be allowed. Once again, I just wanted to draw your attention over here, is that you can create a table with no primary keys, but you can have uniqueness constraint. Over here in this table, SID is not a primary key, but login is a unique key. It doesn't necessarily mean that login should be a primary key for this table. It's only say that login is a unique key, and the reason also we have discussed in the last class is that uniqueness constraint will allow insertion of the null values in the data. And you also know that two null values cannot be compared, which means that I have these two records, the last two records, having login name null values, and it cannot be differentiated, distinguished. So they will be saying that they are all unique values. So they will not be able to serve as primary key, even though you have uniqueness constraint on the table, provided this table does not have a primary key. But an important thing to be noted is that uniqueness, when combined with not null, is identical to primary key. So in this table we do not have a primary key constraint on any of these columns. SID do not have name, login, age or SPI. The only two constraints that we have is that login should be unique and it should not be null. So null values will not be allowed at the time of insertion or updation of this particular records. So it is equivalent to specifying that login is a primary key. So now you please pay attention to very closely is that a table can have multiple keys that can, multiple columns that can stand as potentially primary keys. So for example, if you say SID is a primary key and login is unique and not null, so you might argue that sir, these two columns are primary keys. But even though the constraints are identical, one of them is designated as a primary key, the other still holds all the semantics associated with the primary key. And the reason only one of them should be used as a primary key is that the primary key is the one that application programs will refer to retrieve the records. For example, if you say student roll number is the primary key, all the application programs say what is one example of the application program is that give me the transcript of this roll number student. So I will always query that give me the transcript of roll number 123. You can also say that give me the transcript of Atul Gupta. But the difference is that being a primary key, there is some faster computation that actually happens. Versus if you give only by name, this query will take time to construct the transcript. That is the only reason. That is the only thing. And one more thing is that a table can have multiple columns which have identical functionalities with respect to semantics with respect to primary key. So you can specify a column to be not null. So over here, not null is a constraint we have seen in the previous classes. And here we see that we are trying to create a table student. SID is not a primary key in this particular example. Name is also has no constraints. Logging has no constraints. The only constraint that we are specifying is that age is an integer data type and it should not take null values. That is the constraint that we are placing. And SPI is a floating point number having no constraint. So now this is the one that actually gets created. And if you look at this red record with red color is a violation of this constraint. We are saying that age cannot take null values, but we are including null values. We are trying to insert a record with null value. It will be rejected, but all the other records are honoring the constraints and they will be included. For example, SID there is no constraint, so null values can be included. Here SPI has no constraints, null values can be included. Logging has no constraint, null values can be included. Name has no constraint, null values can be included. Likewise. So now I will just stop for a minute and then just look for any questions from the student side. Any of you have any questions? Somebody's yes, Ashwani Kumar, please go ahead.
Sir, if we are taking the uniqueness and not null as two different constraints and combining them, the constraint are all same as the primary key, then why we are taking primary key as a separate constraint?
That is because you see, these are one thing that we need to understand is that not null is a constraint. What we are enforcing is that some columns cannot take null values. This is a different constraint altogether. Uniqueness is a constraint that particular column cannot take duplicate values. But when you mix together these two things, it is semantically identical to primary key is what we are trying to say. And then you will see that many times as we go along, you can mix and combine these constraints to bring out bigger functionalities. But if you say that the table cannot actually have two primary keys, it can have only one primary key. And when I say primary key, the property is that any record cannot take two identical values, nor record can actually have null values. This is the meaning of the primary key. And the same can be achieved through not null and uniqueness. But they are existing to give you several different functionalities independently. The other reason is that depending on the application that you are trying to develop, there are naturally the constraints that comes in play. For example, if you say the student's SPA, if you allow null values, it will be very difficult to construct the computations further. So you must say that because applications are demanding, the domain, the university system demands that when a student is registered, he must get an SPA. He must have an SPA value against the SPA column. So this is a constraint, and you have to have the ability to place that constraint on the table. But put together, when you combine these two things together, they semantically refer to primary key. Any other question?
No, sir, got it.
Yes. Thank you. So now we will look at foreign key. We have discussed these foreign keys in the previous class. Now we will see how to create them. We know that foreign key applies when two tables are involved. Need not be distinct. Please note that one. And I will have an example for that one. In this particular example, I have two tables which are distinct. One is a student table, another is a registration table. So here student table has 5 columns and I have a table creation statement corresponding to the student table. And all that I am actually saying is that SID is a primary key for the student table. Right? Now this registers table, I am saying that CID is a integer, grade is a character of 2 characters, student ID is an integer, and this table also must have primary key value. Now primary key constraint, if it has any, and we are saying you please carefully look at primary key is composed of 2 columns, CID and SID. Sorry, CID and student ID, STUDID. This must be STUDID, right? So I will change this one. And you are saying that this column is a foreign key that references this primary key in the students table. So this is the way in which you wanted to refer this syntax is that in the registers table, there is a column called STUDID, student ID, and we are designating student ID, STUDID as foreign key, and this particular column references a table named student and a column within the table student is the SID. Okay, so this is the exact syntax. If you miss out on this syntax, this statement will result in an error. So once again, I am trying to designate STUDID as foreign key, and this foreign key must reference a table, and within that table one column that must be referred. And here it so happened that SID first column it is referring to the first column. Okay. Now the main, in the last class also somebody asked that while creating foreign keys, is it necessary that the other column, the table in the column in the table student must be, that should be primary key? The answer is yes. If you wanted to place a foreign key constraint on student ID that references SID of the student table, SID must be primary key. If SID is not a primary key, this foreign key constraint is a erroneous constraint and it will be rejected by the database. We will give you some example. So now you look at the table creation of the student. Student has 5 columns. First name is name, department, login, age, and then float. It has no primary key constraint. None of these columns are, none of the columns are primary key. Which means that this table does not have a primary key. And we are trying to create, and this is a correct statement, syntactically correct statement. It will create this table. Now what we are trying to do is that we wanted to create a table register, And there is no difference, CID, grade and name that we are trying to create. And CID, name are the primary keys. And we are trying to say that name is the foreign key. Name in this registers table is the foreign key. Name references the student table. And which column of the student table? Student table column is name. And now the question essentially is that we go to the student table and ask, is the name primary key? The answer is no. So this statement will result in an error, which means that whenever you are trying to place a foreign key constraint, the other table must essentially have a primary key value to which you are trying to reference. And this question one student has asked, I hope this is addressed by now. We will see that should it always be only one key should actually act as a primary key or foreign key? Need not be. We will give you an example. Is that in this table, date of birth and name for a minute together stands for uniqueness. That we can, if you give two distinct students, we say that they are distinct, either their names are different or date of birth is different. So we can create a table student. What it means is that date of birth and name together is the primary key, but individually not. So we will be creating all these 5 columns: date of birth, name, department, age, and then SPI. And at the time of creating a primary key, what we say is that primary key is a combination of both the date of birth and name. Okay, that is what we are trying to say. So now we wanted to create a registers table. We will try to see how to create that one, which essentially takes these 2 columns as foreign key and then tries to reference to the other table. We will try to see how to do that one. CID, grade, date of birth, name. Primary key is CID, date of birth, name. CID, date of birth and name, that is primary key. We know the combination of columns can put together act as a primary key. And we are saying that foreign key is date of birth and name. Those references to student date of birth and name. So this is, these 2 are pointing to this thing. So now the other example is that you can have foreign keys on multiple tables. So this is only 2 tables. Now if you have 3 tables, table 1, table 2, table 3, you say that these 2 are foreign key reference to this table, these are foreign key that references to this table. And the construct is identical, that you should say that there are multiple foreign keys. First foreign key is date of birth and name, second foreign key is CID. And they refer to different tables. This one refers to student table, CID references to courses table. As I told you earlier, that the foreign key can be played on the table itself. It need not be that these 2 tables should be distinct. You can say that on the same table you can place foreign key constraints. The example is something like this. For example, if I say employee table, employee ID, employee name, and then his salary, you can say that it's a foreign key. So I have another table saying that boss ID and employee ID. I say that boss refers to the employee ID, employee ID also refers to the employee ID. So on the same table you are trying to enforce the foreign key constraints. So here how we want to say, so that boss table has boss ID and an employee ID, and primary key is boss and employee ID together. Here we are saying that boss ID is a foreign key. It references it should be courses. No, it should be employees. You please refer to this one. I will correct this one. Boss ID is referring to the employee table and employee ID is the name. Similarly, employee ID is a foreign key in the boss table. It references to the employee table and the column name is employee ID, EID. This is the way in which you can create foreign key constraints. Now, we have seen in the last class, so any questions till this point in time? So that I will take it forward further. Harsh Kumar, yes, please go ahead. Harsh Kumar? Okay. So if there are no questions, then we'll proceed. In the last class, we have said that these insertion deletions we have to specify what actions we must take when we are trying to do insertions and deletions on the students table. Right? So let me just refresh in terms of yes. So this is what I am trying to refer to, this example. So I have, in this particular example, we are trying to delete a record from the students table. And we say that we also delete, there can be several actions, action 1, 2, 3, 4. And one of these actions we can perform on the foreign key table. How to place such constraints, such actions after placing foreign key constraint, that is what is the discussion. So let me just come here. So here we are trying to say that when I am trying to delete a one record, so over here when I am trying to delete one record, now the action is that I want to delete a record that contains this roll number in this particular table. That is what is the action that I wanted to perform. So whenever I delete a record over here, I want to delete all the records over here. How to place such constraint? Let me just yes. So here there is no difference in terms of foreign key creation. The only thing is that you have to specify that, see here you are performing action on the right hand side table. Right hand side table you are trying to delete one record. But because of the foreign key constraint is there on the left hand side table, you must specify what happens to left hand side table when you are deleting one record from the right hand side table, students table. So where that this constraint you must write? So this operation delete is happening on the right hand side table, student table. So there is no issue. But the issue is with respect to the foreign key. What should you do with the foreign key? So here is what you have to specify that on the left hand side table, which is this registers table, you are saying that student ID is a foreign key. It is referring to the SID. And whenever SID, there is one record that is deleted from the SID. Now that is deleted from the students table. You also delete all the records that references to this table, saying that on delete, you cascade that effect on the registers table. This point, if you understand, if you have any questions, please ask. All that we are trying to say in this particular example is that not only as a student ID is a foreign key, but whenever one record gets deleted in the students table, all the records having identical SID roll number, student roll number, in the registers table must also get deleted. That is what we are trying to say. So that is the action one, performing action one, namely delete. So you can perform all the four actions and then I will give you this thing. Set default value. So second action that we have talked about is set default value. And it so happened that MySQL can recognize this particular constraint, but it will not honor because of various reasons. So we will not discuss. The third thing is that you can set null values. So what is it that how we will perform? That in the registers table, STUID ID is a foreign key that references the student table and the column SID. And whenever a record gets deleted in the student table, we set null values to the registers table in the student ID column. That's what we are trying to say over here. And the fourth action is the disallow such operations. And what we wanted to do is that we do not even want to delete one record in the students list of students. So you say that on delete, restrict. So you restrict the delete operation on the students table. So identical things can be done for on update. So you say that you have said here for the actions, every action is on delete, on delete, on delete. So here we are trying to say that on delete what should we do? On delete what we should do? On delete what we should do? But you can also have operation on the student table as update. So we say that on update we cascade. On updating a student roll number must also update the student roll number in the registers table as well. That's what is the intent. So this set default value will not be honored by the MySQL data version. So we will not even discuss that one. Set null values. So whenever you are updating some values, one roll number over here, that corresponding foreign key student ID roll number will be put as null value. And you cannot even update the null update operations here. You cannot have the ability to update the roll number of the student table here. These are the four operations. And can you have both of these things operations together? Yes, is the case. That you are performing deletion and updation on this table, student table. And how do you do that one? STUD ID is a foreign key that references student table and column SID. On delete you cascade, on update you cascade, which means that on delete all the records in the registers table must be deleted. On updating all the registers table roll numbers must be updated. That's what you are trying to say. So any questions so far?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, in the case when we are restricting the operation, what if the operation is on a row that is not present in the foreign key table, basically the course table?
No, so even student ID, that particular operation will be denied.
Even if that particular student ID is not present in that foreign key table?
No, because see, it is immaterial. Whether it is there or not, first of all, it will at a later point in time. You will not be able to perform this operation because there are dependencies between the tables.
Okay, sir.
Confirm, I'll confirm.
Okay,
Sir,
Okay. See, these are the constraints, so it will not case by case look at it.
Sir, when we are restricting the deletion, we are restricting that, like if we will
Yes.
delete from RHS, it will not get deleted from LHS. We are not restricting deletion, right?
No, you are restricting means you cannot delete a record from the RHS table.
You can delete from LHS.
The RHS table.
Achha.
Okay.
Sir, while creating a table, we defined an option, action, and can we change that action later?
We will see how to modify these things. Yes. Perfectly. Okay. So we'll see in this particular example, we have now the ability to create tables. We'll see how to modify them. So once you have created, is it that it is final? Maybe that you wanted to add some columns. Maybe you wanted to delete some columns. Maybe you wanted to modify some columns. And maybe you wanted to modify the constraints as somebody has asked, as the student has asked, right? So we'll see what are the possible manipulations to the table. Is that I wanted to add a column, I want to delete a column, specify the data types, modify the data types, add constraints, delete constraints. Right? These are the operations that I want to perform. So how do I do that one? So what I will do is that if a table R is existing, I wanted to add a column at the beginning. So what I will do is that I will alter the table R and I will say add column. Column name is C1. Its data type is integer. And where I should add? I should add this column at the beginning of the table, which means first. This particular statement will result in modifying of this table. Okay, and many of these things are all reserved words. Alter, table, column, add, these are all the reserved words. So now what happens, see, this is easy to understand, but assume that when you already have a populated data in the table, before adding this column C1, so over here you think that in this table you have already populated some records. 3 records you have already populated before this statement. Now after this statement, what is the meaning is that after adding that one C1, you have not specified anything about C1 and its constraints, so C1 can take null values. So which means that after adding that one, the 3 records that you have, 3 rows, will be not changed, they are all unaltered. The only thing that it will do is that database will do is that null values gets populated for C1 for all these 3 records. Okay. So now we understood that this is what, let's say, the explanation. And adding a column in the middle. For example, I want to add column 3 between C2 and C4. How do you add? I will do alter table or add a column C3 after C2. That's what is my thing. So that's what is the resulting thing. Same is the thing at the end. If I wanted to add a column, I want to say add a column. And I will not specify anything. By default, it will add column at the end always. So that's what it will result in. So please note that these are all syntactically these are the things, but they have their importance when you are developing applications. So if you wanted to delete a column, what we wanted to say is that drop a column. So essentially say alter table or drop column C1. So I have 5 columns over here. I wanted to drop 1 column. So that's what is resulting. And all that the data against that column will be deleted or dropped, but all the other data will be unaltered. So now as somebody is asked, can we add constraints? The answer is yes, because see here we have a table with no constraints, and I wanted to add constraint later point in time. So the moment I wanted to do this one, I will say alter table, add constraint, name of the constraint you can give, and the constraint type is it's a primary key, and you should say what is the column on which you wanted to add this constraint. So essentially, I'm trying to say that C1 is a primary key, and the name of the constraint you can give, and you can refer to this name later on. So this will alter this table by placing primary key on this table. You do not need to kind of repeat this operation by saying that okay, entirely drop the table and then recreate this table using key constraints. You can add constraints as you go along. So how to...
Sir, why we use myC1?
This is the name of the constraint. You can actually refer the constraints names. You can give constraints names. And you can use these names to modify these things. You will also look at that one. You can say that drop myC1.
Okay.
Okay. So every constraint, like every column has a name, you can associate constraints also names. That is the only thing. So now foreign keys. If I wanted to add foreign key, for example, over here I have 2 tables, but there are no foreign key. But later on I have decided that I want to add foreign key. How do I add it? So I will say that add constraint foreign key. C2 is a foreign key that references S1 in the table S. So now you look at foreign key C2 for the table R, which references S1 in table S. That is the only thing. So we have understood how to add constraints. So we will see how to drop constraints. We will say that, we know that table can only have only one primary key. So you say alter table, drop primary key. It will drop the primary key. Or you can say that drop MySQL. You can actually refer to the constraints, and then some databases allows that one. Some things will not allow you. For example, MySQL will deny that one, but you have the way that you have to specify is that drop primary key for this table R. Similarly, if you wanted to remove foreign key constraint, you can simply not remove the foreign key constraint. See, dropping a primary key constraint is very simple because it's placed only on one table, but foreign key placed on two tables. So you have to be very clear. We have to be very, very careful. So how we want to do that? So when the case this.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, we have next class right now.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay, then thank you so much. We'll meet in next week, right? Thank you.